But Kody, what is up, brother?
What's up, man? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly, man. You sound good. You look for a trade too.
I just got back from the gym.
Oh, hey, man. Why am I not surprised? Why am I not surprised? Kody, welcome to the Buckle Up Podcast universe, man, with Brandon Rush.
How you doing, man? I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, hey, I'm happy for you to be here. I'm glad we were finally able to get you on here. I know you were a busy person, so I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come on here.
Of course, of course.
Yeah,
I'm glad
Kody.
you'd have me.
Oh yeah, anytime, man. Anytime. Kody, it's all about you today, brother. It's your story. Anything you want to spotlight, we're all for it. I know you from the gym, but we can speak on it however you want to.
I got you. I got you. I guess start at the beginning.
Yeah, man.
Grew up hometown, so this is. I mean, I'm born and raised in Columbia.
Okay.
I run a fitness facility
Yeah.
currently. But I can see the hospital I was born in from the parking lot.
Oh,
So
really?
I'm homegrown, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, still sticking around. Um, but uh, grew up at first with my mother and my father. When I was born, my father was arrested the day I was born,
Oh, wow.
um, for charges relating to drugs.
Yeah.
Um, and for the first couple years of my life, I was going to visit him in prison.
Okay.
And my mom was kind of working days and nights. So I was, a lot of babysitters and stuff at that point in my life when I was uh, 3 or 4 up till
Yeah.
that point. Then once my father got out of prison, moved back in with the house with us. But he was always a very temperamental person, very angry. So I
Yeah.
saw a lot of stuff that I necessarily shouldn't have
Hmm.
growing up. A lot of fights, a lot of arguments, a lot of violence in those
Yeah.
fights and arguments. So at about, I'd say 6 or 7, my mom ended up, working up the ability to split off with my father,
Yeah.
and kind of get her own place. And in doing that, she did have to work
Wow,
day
wow.
jobs and night jobs. Yeah. So I moved in with my grandparents at
Okay.
that point. Just, my grandma was stay at home. My grandfather owned his own roofing company at that point. That's far as I knew, that's all he did his whole life was roofing.
Yeah.
That's all I remember anyway.
Yeah.
Um, but so yeah, moved in with them when I was real young. So I was raised, even though I'm kind of younger, I'm 29.
Oh, yeah. So,
Just turned, yeah.
you don't look
It-
it at
it-
all, man. You look
I
like you.
appreciate.
You're wiser in your years than your looks. I guess if that makes sense. Like you're still good looking dude, but like you're wise for your age.
I appreciate that, man. And again, I attest that all to my grandparents and my
Yeah.
parents. And some of the stuff I went through as well.
Yeah.
So, and like we'll get into some of the cultures that I've been exposed to
Okay. Yeah.
in my, upbringing. Um, but my grandparents moved in with them, and you know, they took me in like I was just their I was their child. It wasn't even a grandchild thing. I like a lot of times I would call my grandma mom. It would aggravate
Yeah.
my mom a little bit. Um, grandpa was always grandpa to me,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I ended up moving in with them, and at that point, of course, my mom would come in. You know what I'm saying? Every day, she
Yeah.
would show up at the house, and I'd see her. So it wasn't that she was absent at all.
Yeah.
Very, very close. Still to this day, very close relationship with my mom. She's along with being my mom, she's probably one of my best friends as well. That's
Okay.
kind of the relationship we have,
Yeah. That's
especially at
awesome.
this point now that I'm older.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, and grew up at riding tricycles and stuff like that and wild stuff. So we lived on a road that led into a highway,
Okay.
and it was like a downhill portion that led into a highway, and you could come right out of my driveway and make a slight turn and go down that downhill portion that led to the highway.
Yeah.
Well, I remember being on, like, you remember big wheels? Remember
Yeah,
those
man. I remember
things?
big
Yeah.
wheels. Oh, those are the
Yeah.
best. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had a big wheel and a BMX ramp like a
Okay.
plastic BMX ramp. And my grandpa would set it up right past the driveway in that downhill portion. And he'd walk up to the driveway, look down the road. He'd be like, "You're good." And
Oh, that's
I would
awesome.
take off down the driveway and make that turn towards the highway and hit that ramp. And then when I'd land, he would catch me
Yeah.
so I wouldn't ride straight into the highway.
Yeah, seriously. That's awesome, bro.
Yeah. And he, expressed later in my life that he was an only child, which I am as well.
Yeah.
So he understood not having anybody to play with,
Yeah.
especially at that age. So he never wanted me to feel that way, like I was just entertaining myself all the time.
Oh, that's amazing, man. That really
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Again, I test my, old soul
Yeah, man.
definitely, yeah, definitely
That's what it
comes
is,
from my
Kody. Old
grandparents.
soul.
Yeah, it definitely comes from my grandparents. So
Yeah.
like I said, even though I'm young, I definitely got an old school upbringing in that way.
That's good though,
Um,
especially these days.
yeah, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It gave me a really good mix of, I'm still useful, still know how to work technology and all that stuff, of course,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I do have old school values and, traditional values in that aspect as well.
Yeah.
And the way I think is, very old school.
Yeah.
But um, yeah, and that's kind of for the next, you know, did I stay till my teens? I was at my grandparents, and
Really.
that was the majority of my memories as a child was at my grandparents' house.
Okay.
Of course, with aunts, uncles, mom,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Not much of my dad. Like I said, my dad was very uh, in and out of my life
Yeah.
throughout my whole life up until I was about 15 years old, and I hadn't.
Yeah.
It's been over 10 years now since I've even seen or heard from him.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Um, that's got to be. Sorry, Kody. One thing I'm touching with your dad. I know with your dad's situation. As I said, I have an older adopted brother whose mom was put into prison when he was young, so he was sent to the boys' home. But he used to stay with us on weekends, every weekend for I think 3 years, every weekend up until he went to
gotcha,
college.
gotcha.
So sometimes with those, I mean, I wasn't there, Kody, but I know. I wonder how much of what your dad went through, even in prison. And I don't. We all make mistakes, man. I
Oh
say
yeah,
we all make
yeah.
mistakes. So I don't judge anybody, as long as you try and correct those mistakes. So I'm not sure how much effect even your dad being in prison probably had on him just being able to go back into normal life. Does that make sense? I'm not. I'm not.
No,
I'm not saying anything he did was right or what, but I'm just. You know what I
no,
mean?
no, no. I understand, and um, yeah, anybody that goes through that, I'm sure it has some sort of effect.
Yeah.
Various effects on um how you just handle that deal go through deal going through that. But
Absolutely.
um, from what my mom explained, because my mom made it a big point that when he did get out, even when they split up, that she was still very adamant that she did want to keep that open relationship between me and my father, that he
Understand.
was able to be in my life, even when my mom got with my stepdad and married my
Hmm.
stepdad. They were always adamant about, look, don't ever feel uncomfortable about coming over. He like there was an invite for my father to come to the house with my
Oh
mom
wow.
and my stepdad to watch football games and stuff, just to
Yeah.
keep him in my life.
That's amazing.
Um, so, but from again, I was young, so I can't really speak on it for myself. But
Yeah.
and I didn't know him prior to me being born, obviously.
Yeah.
But from what my mother states, it's what she saw in him is that he never wanted to grow up.
Got you. Well, that, yeah,
Um,
I'm gonna do it.
um, which again, I would never. And I think I've spoke with you about this a little bit too before, but I would never change any aspect about the
Yeah,
way I was raised. The
absolutely.
good, the bad, the ugly, all of it,
Yeah.
because I'm proud of who I am. So, and all those little details made me who I am. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't want to change one little aspect about it because then I don't know who I'd be.
Absolutely, man. And Kody, I don't know what your plans are in the future, but as I told you before, when we kind of talked, like you're a solid guy, and whatever it is that you do in the future, I think that you'd be perfect at that because you were such a. I'll say this, man, because we're in the South. I don't see a racist bone in your body. You're such a down to earth person with everybody that it's just. I think that's just a blessing to have, and that's a testament to your upbringing too. Just the fact that like I feel like you don't see color, you just see human beings.
Yeah. Again, that comes straight from my grandfather. My grandfather had a simple rule when it came to people. He's like, if you ain't hurting nobody, I don't care who you are or what you're doing.
Yeah.
That was his only thing. As long as you ain't hurting nobody, I don't care what it is you're doing.
Amen. Yeah.
Yeah,
Dude,
it's that
I like
simple.
your grandfather, man.
Yeah, yeah. He passed away in December of 2023.
Oh, I'm sorry, brother. I know that's
Yeah, yeah,
because I lost my dad.
yeah. I apologize, man. It's tough.
It is.
Yeah.
As you know firsthand, man. It's definitely go ahead, Cody. I don't want to interrupt you.
No, you're good. Go
I
ahead.
was going to say one thing about like because that's pretty much your dad or your father figure.
Yeah.
It's there's not I cry about my dad all the time. People don't understand there is no time limit on grief. I am happy though. I do see my dad in my dreams. I saw him last night, even in my dreams. I lost him in 21, but like that having losing that part is such a big piece of you. Yes, we carry on their legacy, but because a lot of people, when you people don't realize until you lose a family member, like someone that's like your dad or mom figure or your grandparents, that like how much those people impact. So I always tell people if you see me crying, I've cried at the man. I can't tell you how many times I've been on that stair stepper bawling because I was thinking about my dad just missing him. So like I always tell people you can't put a time limit on grief. It
No,
just
you
hits
can't.
in ways, man. So but he should be. So, I know he's probably proud and watches over you. But the man that you have become, he's got to be proud of that.
Well, I appreciate that, and that's kind of my motivation every day when I
Yeah.
wake up. Is I want to. I have actually have on my nightstand a photo of him when he
Oh,
was
really?
younger in the military. Yeah,
Oh, nice.
and
What branch of the military was he
he
in?
was in the army.
Okay.
Yeah, he went in right after Vietnam. He was of age, so he went in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, never was in wartime, thankfully,
Yeah.
but he was in the army, and I have that photo on my nightstand. Again, it's just a reminder, like and I tell my grandmother is still around. She's
Okay.
doing pretty good, yeah.
Good.
Um,
Good. Good.
so I tell her all the time, I'm like, my thing is I want y'all to be proud of me.
Yeah.
That's what matters the most to me. Um,
Absolutely.
and it's because of how the light that I see them in. Um, if they're proud of me, I feel like I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah.
um, and like as I've said, I do run a fitness facility currently, but by the
Yeah.
end of the year, my future goals, I'm actually planning on going into law enforcement.
Heck yeah, man.
Right now, I'm shopping around different departments, figuring out, which route I want to go. I got a couple buddies, one with Richland, one with Lexington County Sheriff's Department. Actually, I was going to do a ride along with my buddy in the Lexington County Sheriff's Department.
Yeah.
And a week after I turned in my paperwork, he got shot twice.
Hole, is he
Yeah.
alive or is he?
He's fine. He's okay.
But
But yeah, it's putting him out for a couple months, of course.
yeah,
So that
that's the
kind
wake
of,
up call.
yeah,
Jesus.
yeah.
In
And
Lexington?
yeah, in Lexington. Yeah, he got hit twice right below the vest in his
Yeah.
waist. Um, but he can't walk right now currently, so he's just in recovery in
Oh
that
man,
space.
prayers
But
up to him.
yeah, and he's ex-military. He's retired or medically retired Navy.
Okay.
But yeah, and that's kind of my future goals. But when it came to my upbringing, man, what like you were talking about, I don't have a racist bone in my body.
Oh,
My second family is a Louisiana black church going family.
yeah.
I still keep in touch with them. I go to the range with them every weekend.
Oh, okay.
Michael and his brother Zeke, and they have a large family. So they have three sisters, a multitude of cousins. So I grew up with, if I wasn't at school
Yeah.
or at a sporting, like at my extracurricular curricular stuff,
Yeah.
I was at their house or they were at mine.
Yeah.
That's how it was. Um, and like I still remember their phone number. They still remember my home phone number because we had
Yeah.
home phones at that time. Um, so that's all we did. And we met actually. Me and Zeke met first, which is the younger brother, and he's my age. The older brother is maybe a year or two older than me, I believe. I think he's 2 years older than me.
Okay.
But we met. We were riding our tricycles one day, and our parents were outside with us, and or my grandfather was, and his mother was, and they
Yeah.
ended up talking, and so we were riding our tricycles together, and from then on, inseparable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man. Absolutely. Cody, question for you. That's awesome that you have that great relationship with your neighbors. The fact they're from Louisiana too.
yeah.
I've said it before. I work in New York a lot, and I work in New Orleans. I think New York has the best food, but I always say this: the second best food is Louisiana.
Oh, they could cook now.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
bet.
they could cook.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't play either. There was
Yeah,
a there was they could cook and they could cook a lot of food. It's not
yeah,
yeah, they ain't portioning nothing small. That's for
yeah,
sure.
dude, that's
Um
awesome, brother.
yeah, and then growing up also like straight across the street from my house was an Hispanic family. I'm not exactly sure where they were from,
Yeah.
but the only members of the family that spoke English were the son, his name was Alejandro,
Okay.
and his sister, her name was Anna. So we'd go over to their house too, and that's the first time I tried lamb.
Yeah.
Um, they had like that again. I learned a lot of that culture just from going over there.
Absolutely.
Um, watch going over there, and they would have parties till 3, 4 in the morning.
Holy
Yeah.
smoke.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah. And then next to them was a like devout Catholic family.
Okay.
Um, with Connor, Spencer were the two brothers.
Yeah.
Um, and then ironically, their sister's name was also Anna.
Okay.
But devout to the point to where like we would be outside playing, but the sister would still be required to wear
A dress or
uh
something.
ankle length denim skirts.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Yeah,
Um
that's real devout.
yeah.
Yeah.
So and then at the very end of the road there was this family that owned I'd say at least 30, 40 acres at the
Okay.
end of this street, which probably their land the land mass they owned was probably twice the size of the neighborhood itself,
Okay. Oh,
other
wow.
than their land. Yeah. And their daughter, her name was Laura, she would play with us. um so yeah, I had a very diverse
Upbringing.
neighborhood of
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I like literally anybody, one of every walks of life almost.
That's so
And
important,
we
man.
would all hang out together, and it didn't make a difference in the world. We were just playing. We
Absolutely.
were kids playing. That's all we were.
Yeah, man. That's
Yeah.
no, I think that's so important. Not a lot of people have that kind of upbringing, but like I think that's so special when you do because a guy I had on the other day, Jim Clemente, is a retired FBI agent.
Okay.
I work with him on a TV show called Criminal Minds, and Jim's originally from New York, and I was like, Jim, like he's one of those people who, when it comes to casting and stuff, he's casting for Criminal Minds, his TV shows and movies that he does.
Yeah.
He is so diverse in everyone he casts. I'm just like I've always been grateful for him doing it because it's not like that a lot of times. And he's like, Brandon, I didn't, you don't understand. I grew up like we grew up. Well, he grew up in New York. His mom was a nurse, and she worked at a hospital that had, I guess it was just, she said just black kids and white kids at that. Like, excuse me, at an orphanage. And
Gotcha.
he's a. I think Jim might be. I think Jim might be Italian. Jim's either Italian or I just or Irish. He's one of the two. I don't know which one it is.
Clemente sounds Italian, so
Yeah, exactly. It does. And so him and his dad was a baseball player, and his best friend was a black guy. And then the mom at the hospital, none of the nurses would bring at the orphanage, none of them would bring home the white. Excuse me, none of them would bring home the colored babies on the weekend. So his mom always brought home colored babies, and from that, Jim was just saying like, Brandon, that's the way we grew up, man. Like I didn't see color like that. My mom didn't see color like that, and she said a lot of times his mom would be getting spit on the train coming back from New York because it's the 30s and 40s now.
yeah.
But she'd be with the colored baby, so she would be getting spit on, and people say all kinds of awful things to her. And just the fact that like he was just saying like, hey, that's why he's not that way because he didn't see color. He was just I mean he knew it was there, but he didn't like he knew it was there because of what his parents experienced from
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But he wasn't that way, and so I think that's so important because those some olden ways got to die out. And as I say, you're not like that, which is great. Which is
Yeah.
why I think you're going to be amazing. That's why you've been amazing and get along with everybody. You get along. It's like you're part of the people. You're like the people's champ.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Um,
again, like that's I mean, I'm every day I go to work because it's my home. Like I
yeah,
grew up here. So
yeah,
that's the way I not only is that do I still look at it that way, but I want
yeah,
everybody that even if you aren't from here, I want you to feel that way. I want you to feel
absolutely.
the way I feel about it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
and
So
Kody, how did you get into question about? Yeah, I assume you played sports growing up. You look like you did.
baseball, basketball, and football,
Okay, nice
and
man.
and martial arts. I've done a lot of yeah,
Yeah.
all into sports.
Okay. Yeah. How did you get involved into like? How did they get you? I guess probably from training, but what made you want to like work in the fitness field?
Um, well, what made me want to work in the fitness field? Because I really wasn't even when I was playing sports, I wasn't big into the conditioning, like I was always in good condition because
Yeah.
just growing up, running around, playing basketball,
Yeah.
playing tag, all that type of stuff. I was always active.
Yeah.
Um, but in the gym environment, I was never really into that. In high school, I took a strength and conditioning class just
Uh-huh.
because I always liked the classes like PE that required activity that where
Yeah.
you're not sitting at a desk. Um, so in high school, I took a strength and conditioning class, and we had a really good strength and conditioning coach. So that kind of sparked my interest. And around that time was the first time that like I could say I had, which I don't even want to say I had my heart broken because we were in high school, but at
Okay.
the time I thought I had my heart broken.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So so that was kind of became my therapy for getting over that at the moment. I know
Yeah.
that sounds petty, but
Yeah, no, it's
um
not. I mean, it's not. I hear that on Instagram. Anytime they say someone breaks up, they go to the gym. But you're actually
yeah.
that guy. I
Yeah.
didn't. I thought it was a lie.
No, no, that's exactly what happened to me, and
Really?
it kind of sparked from there because I started to see how I could take because again, my father did have anger issues, and I
Yeah.
kind of did have my own struggles with
Yeah.
anger growing up. But I saw how I could what I call take it out on the weights.
Yeah. I
I
understand.
could because I'm also not a very expressive person. So if I do get frustrated or angry, I'm very good at keeping it
Following
in.
it. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I realized that I can bottle it up, and then every day I go to the gym, I can open that bottle
Yeah.
and use it as fuel
Yeah.
and motivation.
Yeah.
And so I learned to do that very quickly. And um, when I first started working out at Planet Fitness, actually, was the first gym I joined. And I started working out there because my parents worked out there, and they were like,
Okay.
"Hey, you're into the gym. You're out of high school now. You don't have a school gym to go to. This is where we're going. Why don't you come tag along one day?" And I did.
Yeah.
And there was a guy there that was a retired Army Ranger,
Oh wow.
and he saw me coming in every day and noticed that I was very passionate and disciplined about it, but he noticed that I was still an amateur in the ways to go about what I'm trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
Um, so he came up to me one day and was like, "Hey man, I see you in here all the time.
Yeah.
Would you want some like pointers?" And from that point on, we kind of started a friendship where,
Oh nice.
yeah, where he actually like I said, I go to the range every weekend. I'm into
Yeah.
firearms. He sold me my first gun.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
um, but we started this friendship where we kind of fed off of each other because he appreciated my mentality because my mentality with the gym and working out is again it's very therapeutic for me,
Yeah.
but it's also a big confidence builder for me. And that confidence comes from what I can prove to myself I'm capable of doing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
um and so I'm not the guy that goes in there and wants to lift as heavy as I can
Yeah.
one time. That doesn't I don't, I'm very big on functionality and balance when it
Yeah.
comes to fitness. So I always tell people I'm like, look, you might outlift me, but you're gonna quit before me. That's
Hey. Now.
always my thing.
Yeah.
Um I'll outwork you essentially
Yeah.
is always been my thing. And that he of course, being from Ranger military background,
Yeah.
that's about as well.
Yeah.
So we meshed in that way. So he would do stuff like, and he would kind of test me in ways I realized very quickly. Where,
Yeah.
for example, one of our cardio exercises was we would do a leg day, and then after the leg day, purposefully, he wouldn't tell me we're going to do this, and we would hop on. I remember the first time he did this to me. We hopped on a treadmill he's like, okay, I want you to cut this to the highest incline, which I think was 15% or 15-degree incline.
Yeah.
Um, and he would sit there and he'd cut the speed up. And as soon as I started jogging, he cut it back down 0.2 miles an hour. And
Okay.
so the reason why is because it cuts it to a speed to where it's too slow for you to jog,
Yeah.
but it is a very fast walking pace.
Okay.
And his rule was you can't hold on to the handles.
Oh wow.
It's yeah, you've got to be self-propelled. And he goes, "We're doing this for an hour."
Holy smokes, bro.
And
Holy smokes.
the next thing out of his mouth was, "Don't you quit on me."
Yeah.
And I think this is where I really gained his respect because I looked at him and I told him straight up, I'm like, "Look, you're gonna have to carry me out of here. I'm not quitting. It's
Oh,
not
heck
happening.
yeah,
It's
man.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
not happening. You're gonna have to
Yeah.
call an ambulance to carry me out of here. I'm not quitting."
Yeah.
And I made it through. And
Wow.
just a secret, after 15 minutes, as long as you stay moving, your legs go numb. So it's okay
Oh, I
after
didn't know
15
that.
after 15 minutes, it's okay.
Yeah.
You just have to make it through the pain enough to where everything goes numb. Now, as soon
Y-
as you stop,
It's
you're
done.
done. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you stay moving, your legs will eventually go numb and you'll just be okay in this perpetual motion almost.
Yeah.
Um,
That's wild, Kody. That's
yeah.
wild.
Well, again, that's a lot of my exercises like that you see at the gym
Hmm.
when when we're there working out. A lot of them come from him.
Yeah.
A lot, especially the unorthodox ones. A
Yeah.
lot of them stem from things he showed me because he was also, before he was in the military, he was also a trainer at the College of Charleston, athletic
Okay.
trainer. Yeah, so
Yeah.
he had that background before the military anyway.
Yeah.
Um, and he was big into heavy lifts when he was younger, he would tell
Okay.
me, but because of his background in the military, he jumped out of a lot of airplanes.
Oh, gotcha.
So
Functionality.
so
Yeah.
his yeah, well, that and his knees and his back, the cartilage was gone from those
Oh,
jumps.
yeah.
So
Dang.
he couldn't lift the way he couldn't deadlift or do
Yeah.
hang clings and all these lifts he enjoyed doing. So
Yeah.
he was very volume based
Okay.
in the way that he was do his exercises. Um, but it was that spark from from high school, like I was telling you,
Yeah.
and then once I started learning the correct ways to get the results that I was wanting, which again is at the beginning when I met him, I was working out for aesthetic reasons. It was
Yeah.
because I wanted to look a certain.
Yeah.
I was
Absolutely.
always the skinny kid,
Gotcha.
so I wanted to not be skinny anymore.
Yeah.
Um, but he was the one that kind of drilled in me. He's like, "Look, man, just get in shape." And he would always tell me, and I never thought of it this way, but he's like, "There's a reason they call it in shape. It's because you're gonna look in shape. I don't care
Yeah.
if you're in shape, you look in shape. That's how that works."
Yeah. Absolutely.
Um, so from that point, it kind of shifted to where now I'm just all about function.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
And
all you need. Unless you're playing a sport, man.
exactly.
Yeah.
Um, and it's like me going into law enforcement. I don't want to be. That's why I don't care about how much I lift and
Yeah.
all that stuff because I can't. Like I can lift 500 pounds, cool, but can I run you down in a foot chase?
Yeah.
Because if
Seriously.
not, it doesn't like
Matter.
how strong I am doesn't matter if I can't catch you.
Yeah.
So there's certain things that just based off your lifestyle you need to pay attention to. And of course, one of the big things he taught me about the volume based thing, he's like he goes, if you're going to lift heavy like that all the time, look at all your bodybuilders and power lifters. By the time they're 50, they
Done.
are beat up. They
Yeah,
can't
man.
move. Look at Ronnie Coleman. He
Oh
needs
my gosh.
yeah.
He was a sheriff too, wasn't
Yeah, he was a sheriff, but he needs crutches now half the
he? Yeah.
time just to walk.
Yeah.
So he's like, you don't want to be that way. You're in here to build yourself up, not break yourself down.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so
Amen, brother.
yeah, and it ended up being to where now it's a mix between, the confidence I get from it, the therapy I get from it, and the results that I see from it. I almost became addicted to the gym.
Yeah.
And I always say that like tell people tell me I'm disciplined all the time. I'm like, I'm not disciplined. I look forward to this every day.
Yeah.
It's easy to be disciplined when you look forward to doing what you're doing every day.
Absolutely. Yeah,
You
man.
know? But
Kody,
yeah.
dude, I think what you're hitting on, brother, is you're absolutely right. Like I love the gym. I used to power lift and stuff. Not power lift. I never did cleans and I never did deadlifts because I always felt like that's an easy way to hurt your back. So I just always stayed away from those personally.
Yeah.
But when I was playing sports, I always had a reason for doing it. Like it's hey, I know that when I'm benching this heavy or that I'm like pushing myself with legs and stuff, I know that I could see the breaking away from the pack in sports when I was doing that. But after that, just with movie stuff is why I'm like, hey, you know what? I just need this for functionality and to look and to be able to like, if I have to run in the scene, if I have to do multiple takes of running, I need to be able to go that distance. But yeah, I don't do anything for ego lifting anymore. I mean, at one point, like, luckily I had a friend that was in the army who I was always working out with my brother who's 4 years older than I am.
Gotcha.
So I was a naturally strong kid. So, but when I was working out with them. So I was kind of 4 years ahead of everybody because I was working out, trying to keep up with them. But I
Yeah.
remember my friend in college, I was doing really well. I got up to like 385 on bench, just throw it out for instance. I was trying to go for 415, and he had tore his shoulder out. My boy Corey Blackman, he's been in the gym with me one time. He tore his shoulder out. He was in the army, and he said, "Brandon, it's not worth it." He said, "I
No.
was a sophomore at the time, and he was 2 years. It's basically been like a senior." So he said that he tore his shoulder out. He told me to stop. I listened to what he said, man, because he's like, "Brandon," he's like, "What's the point?" He's like, "My shoulder's torn out." Still to this day, he is having shoulder surgeries and all that kind of stuff. Has always been impacted by that. And had I kept that probably would have happened to me. And then I would have been like, not be able to function the way I do. So it's right. You don't need the power left or power ego left, which so many people do.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
That's that saying that, is synonymous in the fitness industry. Leave your ego at the door.
Yeah, man.
You've got to do that.
Yeah,
You got to, I see kids all the time, in the gym and that are 14, 15, 16 years old, and they care so much about the number
yeah,
that they're doing. And I'm like, yeah, you could have somebody that's doing half the weight you are, but if they're doing it correctly and you're not,
yeah.
they're going to get much further with it.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
yeah, it's very important to, it's to not ego lift, and because all you're doing, like you're saying, is just feeding your pride.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and pride can get you hurt.
Yeah, pride can get you hurt. Well,
Yeah,
pride can get you hurt and get you in bad situations. Pride
yeah,
can do a lot. Like humility is a very important trait to me.
absolutely.
That's something I preach on. And yeah, it's pride will get you in trouble real quick in
Yeah,
multiple facets.
absolutely.
When like, and that's one thing about, like, even with hiring people, uh, where I work now, I tell them all the time, anybody I hire, I'm like, look, I want you to know this right now. I'm hiring you because of who you are.
Yeah,
I can teach you the job.
yeah,
I could teach you how to do everything, that, this job requires task wise.
yeah,
What I can't teach is for you to be a good person and to be
yeah.
reliable. I can't teach who you are. You got to have that already.
Yeah, man. That's right, man, Kody. I that right there in itself, that like piece, you dropped nothing but knowledge, but that in the piece, you can't teach character, you can't teach to be a good
No.
person, and if you're not that, that's something within you that you need to fix because there's no
Yeah.
excuse for that. There really isn't. No, and you can't blame it on your upbringing, or what your background because if you, who a person, I say, Kody, you had to. Your grandparents helped raise you, but you come from your parents helped raise you. The community helped raise you. People have come from, I've seen all different kinds of people come from different backgrounds, including my older brother, Travis Hales, who came from this background of other boys home and turned out to be an incredible man. There's so many people that have turned out to be incredible. So
Yeah.
you can't blame it on your environment unless you make that decision to do that because you can escape it to a certain extent.
Yeah. There's too many examples.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's too many examples to point to where now, you know, and those examples can also be learning aspects. Like
Yeah.
if you're coming from, those walks of life, especially with technology and the internet now, there's too many things to look to that'll
Yeah.
help you get out of those,
Absolutely.
patterns.
Absolutely.
Um, there's to where there's no excuse anymore.
Yeah.
It may be 100 years ago when you're stuck in this town and there's no way out. Like
Yeah.
maybe, yeah, you could use that excuse, but now there,
Yeah.
yeah, there's too much knowledge out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Kody, one question for you. You've been great, Kody. I'm gonna give one more final question for you, my friend. You've been awesome today. And you're always welcome back on the show too, Kody, by the way, anytime, man, because I think you have great knowledge that you're giving to people. I love everything you've said today.
I
Even
appreciate it,
though,
man.
oh yeah, man, even though you were so wiser, like honestly, the reason I tell you that I don't like it's hard to believe that you're that young is the fact that because of how wise you are, you're older than and you're wiser in your years than you have an old soul, which is good. What would you tell your 18-year-old self if you could tell them anything?
I would probably speak on my mentality. I didn't always have like the mentality because prior to the law enforcement aspirations, I did have aspirations of going to the military.
Okay.
I was looking at, special forces being ranger battalions or,
Yeah.
you know, um, Marine Scout snipers, all different various special forces regiments and stuff.
Mhm.
But I ended up not going that route because currently in my life, my better half, she has or we have a 7-year-old daughter that is,
Oh, nice, man.
yeah, that it's not my daughter. Her father is absent the same
Yeah,
way my father was absent.
mhm.
And in taking that father figure role,
Yeah,
I can't bring myself to snatch that away from her the
yeah,
way that it was snatched away from me. And if I went military, I
yep,
would be gone a lot.
yeah.
So I can't do that. I can't bring myself to do it to her. Um,
Understandable, man,
so
and commendable.
that's why I'm going the law enforcement route, so I can be still in that environment where because my big thing is I want to be a part of something bigger than myself.
Amen.
So I can still, fulfill that, but I can be at home.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
Um, but I would speak on my mentality at that age because when I was younger, I probably, I could have definitely made it into the military.
Yeah,
And, I could be at this point now to where I could probably, if I did go in at that age, I could get out, I could be getting out of the military and
yeah,
have all those benefits and have that experience, and it would pipeline the law enforcement thing a little easier and that type of
yeah.
thing. But I did not have the mentality that I would have made it at that age.
Understand.
Um, I had to develop that because I didn't have the mental tenacity
Yeah,
that I do now. And not tenacity in a negative way, but tenacity that I didn't have the will.
yeah,
I had to forge that throughout my, 18, I'd say 18 to 22,
yeah,
which again, that my buddy Roman was the retired Ranger,
yeah,
um, which was ironic, super military guy. Like
yeah,
if you could look at him and tell he was military, and like I said, even based off his name, Roman, like
yeah,
everything,
yeah.
yeah. But um, he's I would point to him as well as my grandfather throughout my early adult years to say
Yeah,
that that's kind of how I built that tenacity and that willpower. Like my grandfather at a high school and in high school, I was working with him. Like I said, he had a roofing company,
yeah.
and he told me later, he's like, because I'd be carrying shingles up ladders and
Oh, wow.
tearing shingles off of the houses and carrying them down the ladders and throwing them in the back of trucks,
Yeah,
all the tough jobs.
yeah,
And
man.
he told me later that he never taught me to nail because he didn't want me doing the easy jobs because he's told me, he's like, I wanted you to hate this. I
Yeah.
didn't want you doing this the rest of your life. I
Ah,
wanted you to hate doing this.
yeah.
Um, and it makes sense because it worked, but
Yeah.
but through that and through, like I said, finding my way through the gym
Yeah.
and you know my fitness journey and stuff like that, I kind of built that mental toughness
Okay.
through a lot of adversity. I got my top four teeth are fake. I got hit in the mouth with a baseball when I was younger,
Oh, wow.
playing baseball.
Yeah.
So like at one point at the fitness facility I work at, there was a point in time to where there was an issue with the crowns that I had, and I ended up having essentially I worked for 6 months without a front tooth.
Holy smokes. Yeah.
Yeah. So that'll get you over any type of
Ego.
anxiety
Yeah.
or ego real quick talking to people every day with a missing top front tooth.
Yeah.
But so through those little things that, again, like I said at the beginning, I would never change
Yeah.
any of those things because it brought me to who I am today.
Absolutely.
But it definitely forged a will in me that, as I said about my fitness journey, I feel that way about life now. Like you're
Yeah.
not gonna make me quit. It's not gonna happen.
Amen. Absolutely.
Um, but I would speak on my younger self about that, and I would try
Okay.
to, as much as I could, instill that without before having to go through all those things, because it would
Yeah.
have also helped me going through all those things and handling them with a little bit more ease than I did at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, Kody, man, that's what they call it life because you have to learn. I always say if I could go
Exactly.
back, the things I would have done in college, if I could go back. But then when our friends like, man, you would have failed out of college. I'm like, well, I don't know if I'd have failed out of college, but he won't let me live with my life saying that. So, but you
Yeah.
learn over time. Life is about learning. But Kody, two things, man. You've been absolutely phenomenal today, man. Like absolutely phenomenal. I feel like God keeps sending me and telling me to go speak to the right people to have on this show because one of the things about the show is we are about giving back and trying to help the next generation of people come along, like leaving something for people to know about each other, for families to know about, because my family doesn't know about what I went through. Your family doesn't know maybe what you went through, but this gives people an opportunity to tell their story so people can hear it. And then also that so many people can relate. From the one thing that's been so common with everybody is how much we are all related in a way, just even backgrounds or things that we go through. And I wanted to, because my mom was thinking about going back to work at her age. I'm like, I can't have that. And then my nephew didn't know, was like, Uncle B, I don't know if I'll be able to go to college. And so I'm like, hey, I have to do something to try and help him out. So I've had all these people from walks of life, including yourself, come on, say what you did and all that. So he has options now of things that he can do as well. And so I appreciate you for coming on. Kody, send me a photo that you want for your thing. I'll have this done in a couple hours.
Okay.
So that you wanted your permanent podcast post, because I have it up. I have it up and I have it sent to you. So it'd be the photo that you want for your permanent podcast post. It could be whatever you want.
Okay.
Then Roman, if Roman ever wants to come on here, I'd love to have him on.
I've actually lost contact. He is very private.
Yeah,
And I've lost contact with him since, and I hate that I have. I've tried to like look him up in various ways,
yeah,
but he had a lot of
stuff going on.
PTSD and
Yeah, man,
stuff from his time in the military.
understandable.
There was like even when he would come to the gym, if there wasn't the very first parking spot in the row available,
Yeah,
I don't care if there was only one car in that very first parking spot, he would park in the very last parking spot.
really.
And
Yeah.
I asked him about it one day, and he said, "Well, extend from his military days. He's like, I can't be in the middle of two cars because if something happens, they're gonna
Oh,
freak out, and I got to get out of here."
yeah, understandable.
So he was always on edge about, life in general, just from his experience. There
Yeah,
was a shipping container that was at a nearby property one day that they were doing construction on, and he had to leave the gym. He was like, because that shipping container was the same brand of shipping container that he had seen in a operation where they were using these
yeah.
shipping containers to house chemical weapons.
Oh, wow.
And he saw that, and he's like, I gotta go, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So he's always been very private.
Oh, no
So I
worries.
kind of, yeah, I've lost contact with him.
Okay. Well, hopefully he's doing okay wherever he's at, man. But
Yeah, I agree.
I know he'd be proud of you too, though. I will say that, man. And so hopefully one day you guys get connected or some way, or hopefully he's okay wherever he is.
Yeah, I hope I run into him one day. Hopefully, he's still around here. Maybe at a gun range because he used to, like I said, he always used to go to gun ranges too. So hopefully, I
Yeah.
run into him at the range one day or something.
Absolutely, man. You have to let me know. Well, Kody, thank you so much for taking your time for coming on here, man. You've been a blessing to the show. You've been a blessing to me, man. You're a solid dude, man. I consider you a friend. And I always,
Same.
yeah, brother. And I know, like, because I love Dave too. Like, Dave and you, man, you guys have always been solid. I like everybody at the gym. But you guys have always been solid, man. So I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come on here. And that's it. You're always welcome back. Anything you want to drop, anything like that, you're always welcome back on here. Or if there's someone that hey, Brandon, I think you might like this guy, feel free to send them my way, man.
Will do, and I appreciate the time. This is my first time ever doing anything like this. I'm glad it could be with you because it made it a little bit more comfortable for me being
Hey,
with
well, you're
somebody
natural,
that I
Kody.
know very well. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I try. Like I said, I've come a long way since I was younger. If
Yeah.
I was younger, I'd be over here stuttering, and we'd
Uh,
still be in the first question. So,
yeah. No, you did great, brother. You did great, man. And I'll have it to you. It'll be good, brother.
all right, I appreciate it,
All
Brandon. I'll
right, man.
send you over
Kody,
that
happy
photo.
4th of July, man.
Same to you. You be safe this weekend, man.
You too, brother. All right, man. Talk today.
All right.
Thank you, Kody.
Yeah, man. Have a good one.
You too.